And make sure you cut out the fact that I just said sunsets are facing east.
Did you say that? I didn't
strike that from the record.
What planet do you live on?
Yeah.
All right, welcome to another edition of Dock Talk. Today we're going to talk about what are the most important questions you should be asking when you're buying a lake house. Megan, why don't you start us off?
Okay. I usually flip that around and will ask a buyer, how do you see yourself enjoying the water? I think that's the easiest thing I can do. I can say, hey, describe a day on the water. Like, what do you want? Do you want to have a chair in the middle of the river? Do you want to be in the middle of a big crowd? Do you want to be on a lake somewhere where you're wake surfing? Do you want to be on a sailboat? So, and there's obviously a different lake and a different setting and scene for all those scenarios. So I mean, to me, that's the most important question that I can get answered.
Yeah, because a lot of times people will answer that question for somebody else. So I heard McQueenie is the lake I should be on. I want to read a book and have a nice, quiet Saturday afternoon. Well, guess what? That's not your lake.
Let's say if you describe that to me, and I can normally point and say, this is exactly where you should be looking.
Yeah. So. I would say, what FEMA code? Like, is this house built to FEMA code? A lot of times, buyer's agents don't check. And we at the Lakefront Group really try to go above and beyond and put ourselves in our buyer's shoes as if we're the one purchasing the property. And we've seen it, where a lot of times somebody's marketing a house, it's a two-story house, equal square footage up as it is down. It's like a 1,600 square foot house, 800 down, 800 up. And they come to find out after they purchase the house, the county comes and knocks on the door and says, hey, guess what? Everything downstairs isn't supposed to be living quarters. Rip it out now. And they're like, what? I bought a 1,600 square foot house. And guess what? When they go to sell it, after they ripped it out, they're selling an 800 square foot house. They lost a lot of value.
Yeah.
So FEMA code, there's not a lot of houses like that, but we're good at finding them. And it's really important to know you're purchasing the square footage you thought you were purchasing.
Yeah, to kind of tack onto that, I mean, that's obviously having some extensive knowledge of floodplains and floodways and where those lower lying areas exist. So a lot of times I'll have a buyer call me and say, I want to look at this place, and I immediately know if I'm looking at a house, here's going to be the problem with it. I can already tell you without even having gone there. So
pump the brakes.
If you're okay with that, we can go look at it, but that's not going to be a part of how I'm going to evaluate that house. So.
And it can be deceiving. You see some like Treasure Island. That's two houses built side by side, both sitting on the ground. One of them's built to 1977 and one of them's built to 1982.
Yeah.
Which one is non-compliant?
Yeah. 79 would be our maps around here, my
friend.
There
you go. So 1982 is the non-compliant one. Sometimes the entire house is not even supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And that can really bite you in the butt. And a lot of times they're lying to get affordable flood insurance. So we honestly, we want to sell you something we feel comfortable reselling for you in the future.
And we've lost listings going to listing presentations where we've told them this is non-compliant space, and they go with another agent
that doesn't know what they're doing.
That doesn't know what they're doing, and they list it, and then all down the road, they're just setting themselves up for trouble.
Yeah, lots of lawsuits on that one.
For sure, for sure.
But
well, mine is directional. I prefer a house where the back of the home facing the water is facing east, so that you get the sunrise, but you don't get the heat and the burn of the westerly sun in the evening. Imagine being out on the water playing all day long. You're already burning up for the sun, and then you're going to barbecue on the patio. Yeah. You don't want to be cooking literally while you're out there barbecuing.
I have to challenge you on that one because he faces east, I face west. So when the wind blows southwest or southeast, guess who gets all the junk? You do. It blows over there.
Yeah.
So west facing does have its benefits.
It does. It does. So yeah.
And having the right trees.
I was going to say, it's definitely like canopy in the back. I mean, you could be facing west, and if you have the right tree canopy, it's really not all that bad. But I mean, when I'm showing buyers, I'm definitely paying attention to that. I mean, I'll have my compass out at just about every showing on the back deck, and they'll go, what are you doing? So I always point to that. But if you're facing south, You get the prevailing breeze in the summer, and
Yeah.
Well, and that's the first thing I do too, is pull out my compass to see. And we all know those houses on McQueenie. We know which one we're talking about, where they'll sell, and then sure enough, within 18 months, 2 years, they're selling again. And it's got to be because they're cooking.
Something that comes up a lot for me that I think is really scary for a potential buyer because nobody knows about it. It's just not being talked about. This is the importance of having somebody that knows what they're talking about to help you buy a lake house, is fill area. I mean, I had a deal just a few months ago that, if you don't know what fill area is, there's a separate video on that, so go ahead and watch that. But basically, the original property line on this deal was 20 feet back from where the bulkhead was. So if we wouldn't have caught this, my people would have bought this house that technically didn't own the waterfront. Somebody else owned that 20 feet from their original property line to the bulkhead, the actual waterfront where their boathouse and everything sat. So fortunately, we found it and we got it all taken care of. It's not a big deal if you find it, but if you buy the house, the property, and then find out after the fact, it could be a real disaster, and something that I certainly wouldn't want to get into if I was buying a lake house. Because
And that's probably one of the first questions you ask when you're up there is you check out the survey, you check to see if that actually, what if, an agent from Houston is selling that market, knows nothing about it?
yeah, I mean,
lawsuits waiting to happen.
yeah, we could be talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damages because the waterfront's the part that's worth the most money.
Yeah.
You take a house and take it off the water and it's worth 50%, right?
Yeah, you take that four-letter word lake out of it. It goes from a lake house to a house.
Yes.
And that definitely drops the value.
Exactly. All very good things, and certainly things that I would hope that an agent would hold my hand and help me figure out as I was trying to look for a lake house if I was first time buying.
pretty big investment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Spending a couple $1 million or $1 million+
Do your due diligence.
Yeah, do your due diligence and make sure you're interviewing and asking these questions of agents to know you're with the right one.
And that's only a few of them. So
Yep.
many more questions that need to be asked. So
If you guys are looking for a lake house, give us a call.